Hi, this is Carlos Cousins, and we're now going to be approaching a sentence completion exercise. So for this exercise, what matters most is whether or not you are able to understand the vocab words in the answer choices provided, but more importantly, whether or not you know how to use them. So for that, you need to be able to zero in on certain keywords in the sentence provided that might give you an idea of how to best look for appropriate vocab words. So here we have the word although, and although signifies that the first half of the sentence is going to provide an idea that is inherently different from the idea in the second half of the sentence. So we're going to establish as our first and only criterion for this exercise that whatever word we use, it's going to make it so that the idea posited by the first clause of the sentence is going to be opposite to the idea in the second half of the sentence. And I'm using a plus and minus sign here because in my head, plus is opposite to minus. So let's go ahead and try the first answer choice here. So although Shauna had effortlessly pursued Tyrone's silence, she later disregarded his opinions and used the protocol he had criticized. So this would seem to make sense, except for the fact that you could not disregard opinions if you had been pursuing silence and that no opinions were voiced. So this doesn't seem to make sense. Also saying that you're pursuing silence is something that sounds very awkward because silence is not something you would pursue or chase after, at least generally speaking, without some explanation. So let's go ahead and try the second option here. Assessment. So although Shauna had effortlessly pursued Tyrone's assessment, she later disregarded his opinions and used a protocol he had criticized. So this makes a lot more sense in that an assessment is a conclusion that you reach after going through the process of assessment, after assessing. So after considering an argument and testing whether or not you believe that the argument makes sense. So you would come to a conclusion that which could be characterized as an opinion. So Tyrone could have then, by making this assessment, come to a conclusion that she later disregarded and used the protocol he had been criticizing. So this one definitely makes sense, but we're going to go ahead and consider the other answer choices as well. So although Shauna had effortlessly pursued Tyrone's cohesion, so cohesion is a strange word here because cohesion has to do with how different units come to make a whole. So you wouldn't be pursuing the cohesion belonging to Tyrone in any meaningful way. And she later disregarded his opinions and used a protocol he had criticized. This doesn't make sense simply because the word is used incorrectly here. Although Shauna had effortfully pursued Tyrone's secretiveness, she later disregarded his opinions and used a protocol he had criticized. So much like the first example, if he was being secretive, then how would you know what his opinions were and how could you disregard them? So this doesn't make sense. And then the last option here, although Shauna had effortlessly pursued Tyrone's condescension, she later disregarded his opinions and used a protocol he had criticized. So this makes sense in that one could be after somebody else's condescension, but you'd have to assume that there is something wrong with Shauna's psychological state for that to happen, and we have absolutely no reason to do that. She later disregarded his opinions and used a protocol he had criticized, we're told. So we should be focusing more on something that has to do with opinions. So if we're looking for something that is opposite to disregarding them, so we should look for something that sounds that to the effect of pursuing Tyrone's opinions in one way or another. An assessment does that best. So we can go ahead and cancel out that option too. And that's why assessment is the best word here. I hope that helped, and happy prepping, everybody.